Person now, and we have Stephanie Hansen here with us again, although today you are here as state senator. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lots to discuss today, but want to start with the signing of the Coastal Zone Act bill.
Yes.
You voted for it. Did you have any doubts before casting that vote?
Yes, I had a lot of doubts. You know, this was a very, very difficult piece of legislation for me to vote on. And I think more than anything, I had issues with the way it came about. Because, you know, my understanding going through the process was that it was going to be a much broader, more inclusive process with all of the environmental groups, with all the interested parties. But the reality was that it was a bill that had been kind of in the works for a number of years. And so there wasn't an appetite on the part of the sponsors to go back and kind of open up that whole process again. And that was I think, the most difficult part for me. It was more process related. Substantively though, I think it is definitely the right way to go. And we've talked about this, you know, for a long time. This is one of the things that was discussed even in my election, is that, you know, we have properties in the coastal zone that are contaminated, and unless they are redeveloped and new money and energy is put into those projects, then they're not going to get cleaned up to a higher standard. So I believe that's the case here, and it would be bringing in extra jobs as well, good jobs, not extra, good jobs, good paying jobs in areas where right now we have no jobs and we have some contaminated sites.
Governor Carney had said that HB 190 is part of a way to help grow the economy in Delaware.
Correct.
Do you see a big picture plan now starting to take form under the Carney administration in a way to grow the economy here in Delaware?
I do, and in particular, let's back up with the coastal zone again and how that piece is important. That piece is critically important of redeveloping in particularly the general chemical, Everett, Claymont area, because there's connection there to railroad, which is then a connection over to the boxwood plant, the former boxwood plant, that could be used as a staging area that then that rail connects to many other places outside of Delaware. So we have a large transportation now infrastructure corridor that can connect from outside of Delaware through rail to Boxwood to the coastal zone to the Seven Seas at this point, because it's out into, you know, we've connected to the river. So that I think is going to be critically important for us going forward. And I think that was probably a centerpiece of Governor Carney's plan.
In any other ways do you see where he is starting to plant seeds to help the economy grow in other areas of the state?
Yes, I know that there is a lot of emphasis, as there should be, on biopharmaceuticals and growing that industry around the University of Delaware. There's a large facility there, a number of facilities there that have invested a lot of money. These are private facilities, but they're also now, there's becoming a critical mass of them where it's beginning to draw more companies there. They're seeing that they've got the intellectual and workforce firepower in that area. And that's going to be very helpful. Plus the expansion of the Amtrak station right there in Newark is going to be well too. Again, we go back to infrastructure. You know, so much of this comes to not just care for our infrastructure, but building and enhancing the infrastructure that we have.
We're still trying to gauge the long-lasting impact of the postponed budget vote in July. Did you support a rise in the personal income tax that Governor Carney had proposed?
Yes, I would have supported that. And the reason is that, in particular, the creation of a new tax bracket above what we currently have. Because right now, if you make $60,000 or above, you pay the same rate of personal income tax, which doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Because if you make $60,000 or $260,000, the $260,000 person or $160,000 person that's bringing in that much money into their household is still paying the same tax rate as someone that's making $60,000. And I think that that's something, from what I heard from my constituency, was that something that they would support, this extra tax bracket there. I think what gave me a lot of heartburn was, though, getting rid of all of the tax deductions, because that's really problematic, because people depend on nonprofits. and charitable organizations depend a lot on those tax deductions, and people like giving those tax deductions, knowing that they're going to get some kind of a credit on their income tax.
Governor Carney, though, doesn't seem afraid to make those unpopular decisions, though, in order to get the budget more in shape long term, you know? Do you see
Correct.
that?
Yes, that's good, because that shows that he has the personal fortitude to make the tough calls and the tough choices, which we are all going to have to do in the General Assembly. I mean, we continue to kick this can down the road with like quick fixes without doing the underlying big picture structural changes that we need to do. And he has shown the political will to make those changes. Now let's see if the General Assembly can step up and do the same thing.
Well, consequently, we're still going to face another deficit next spring. So is there a long-term solution?
Well, we're going to come back and continue the fight, this personal income tax issue versus prevailing wage. I mean, that's where the big rub came in the General Assembly that was not able to be worked out in the meantime. I know that there is still a lot of research and discussion on both of those issues. We're also going to be looking at now consolidating school districts again. I mean, really carefully, because with 19 school districts, that seems to be an area that's rife for a lot more savings than we're currently having right now.
And quickly, finally, are you thinking about what's needed to mount the campaign in 2018 for a re-election for you?
Yes. Yes, it seems like I just did this. You know, we all just did this. And I want to apologize to all of the people that received so many, you know, letters and literature pieces and phone calls in my campaign, and do a proactive apology and say, you're going to get them again.
Yeah.
Probably not like that, because there's no way that kind of effort is going to be in this campaign at this point, because I'm going to be one of a whole bunch of people running instead of just the only race in town. But a proactive apology to everyone. Please get ready. We're having to gear up.
Okay, Senator Stephanie Hansen of Middletown, great to see you again. Thanks so much
you.
for being here. You can check out this interview in its entirety. Click on the first person link at newsworks.org/Delaware.